Hi guys, made a video on Monday and just felt right at the time. I'd been meaning to make one, I hadn't made one in like 5 days, so I thought I'd just upload. To be honest, didn't really know what topic I was going to bring up, but it just kind of hit me because I've been going through a lot of shit recently. Well, not recently, but it's been going on for a while, but it's just, I feel like I can't cope with it. It's just getting on top of me even more. But yeah, these videos, even if there's only a few people that watch them, they give me some hope, and I've gotten some positive messages back from people, so that's something. But there's one topic I really wanted to discuss, and that was alcohol. It's massive, I think, in Irish culture, but Western culture, if you want to call it that. But in particular, like in my culture, it's a big thing. You know, we do a lot of it. It's definitely not just a stereotype. It's true. We love our drink over here, and you have to go abroad to realise how out of control we can be. Um, and especially with how we are, we like to have a laugh and talk shit. We love shite talking in Ireland. Um, but yeah, it's a topic that I've heard a lot about, and I've been watching a lot of sobriety videos and the road to sobriety, things like that, and experiences of rehab, AA. And kind of going like, I don't know if that's the type of thing I want to make. I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't give it up one way or the other. It's up to you at the end of the day. I'm just going to discuss like my story, and I got touch on addiction in general because it's something that affects me. That's kind of like my personality, but yeah, this will just be something where I kind of dive straight in to the ins and outs of it, and then talk about the feelings it gave me, and you know, just everything, like the pros and cons to it. Because when people say it, oh, you don't need it, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. You're kind of there going, then why did I drink then? If it gave me nothing, that's like just putting a poison into you, which it is. It's technically a poison, and it's a drug. But we always say drugs and alcohol because we glamorize it so much. Like it is everywhere. And people sit down and relax and enjoy a drink around friends and family and watching a game at home. It's just everywhere, really. And I guess you can justify it to yourself because it's legal. Alcohol and cigarettes cause the most fatalities out of any drug, and yet we all do it because it's normal. We're allowed to do it. We're allowed to buy it in the shop, so it's not illegal. So, yeah, to tell my story with alcohol anyway, around 14 or 15 is where everything kind of kicked off, and just with things in life not going my way and being an anxious wreck as a kid. I've always been so fucking anxious all the time because I look back and I think, oh, how great would my life have been if I never touched alcohol. That's rose tinted glasses. When I look back, I remember how pathetically anxious I was around everyone. Couldn't talk to women, could barely talk to other lads, was struggling to find a common ground, and then all of a sudden you put this toxin into your body that takes away your anxiety. And antidepressants were supposed to be doing that. They did fuck all except destroy my libido and give me sweats and muscle cramps. So they were fucking great, weren't they? And that's the thing. You think to yourself, well, fuck these aren't working. You're young and you're stupid. Alcohol makes me so calm, and like I don't know if I can explain this to you, but I would literally just, if someone was talking to me, I'd turn like that or try and hide in a corner, and I couldn't talk to people. It just made me so anxious, and that's in a non-threatening environment. So can you imagine what a threatening environment made me feel like? I thought I'm either going to explode here, or I'm going to have to run away, or my emotions were just extreme. Rattling tension, my shoulders coming up like that, fucking so anxious. It's even making me anxious bringing it all back up, but I think it's important for this video to just emphasise it. And I remember the first time I ever got drunk. Can't remember the first time I had a drink, but I remember the first time I was drunk. It was on a holiday with my dad and my brother. Um, just finished my third year of secondary school. I was 15 and we were on holiday in Turkey. And my dad has an issue with drink. He'll always say, "Oh, I'm not having a drink," or "I'm not an alcoholic," or he is, and he's actually been medically diagnosed. But that's his own shit that he needs to deal with. But he was one for always blackmailing and going, "I have a drink with your old fella, have a drink with your old fella." And I hated the taste. I didn't really like the taste, like beer was strong and I didn't really like it. I had a bit of cider then. Kind of thought, this is alright, this tastes okay. And he was annoying me. I got even more anxious. Had something to drink. And was only young, hadn't really drank before properly. Noticed the buzz, thought, oh, I'll have another one of them. Had another one, had another one. And then I started feeling tipsy and the Turkish lads in the hotel were trying to get us up dancing. And I was like, oh god, no, too embarrassing, not a fucking chance. Then after my second drink even, I was up dancing away and I loosened up so much. I felt great, I felt stimulated, I felt really happy. Felt like I could do anything, like anything anyone suggested. I was like, yeah, let's do it, let's keep the party going. Whereas before I'd been a really boring fucker, like I just didn't want to go anywhere, do anything. I was just way too anxious. So I was like, no, no, not doing that. Now it was like, oh, everything seems so much better. Everything's so much more enjoyable. I'm not anxious anymore. I'm up and dancing with people, I'm having a laugh. We're all having a bit of fun. Sure, my head's a bit sore next day, but fuck it, this stuff makes me a great person to be around. I'm a boring fucker when I'm not drinking. I'm anxious, I can't do anything, so I need it. I do need it. And then that just carried on, I literally just drank all the way through my mid to late teens, and then obviously into my 20s. With my mid 20s now, which sounds mental to say it because Jesus, it's been a hard road, I can't tell you. But basically, I loved alcohol then. I'd come home in my school uniform and I'd drink a bit of Jack Daniels out of the bottle. Any chance I got, I'd just drink. I loved it. I'd be going out the weekends. If anyone invited me anywhere, it's hard for people to get, my family, but not being invited to anything, and then if you are invited to something, being too anxious to go. Now you've got this substance where you can just say yes and not be anxious. It takes away all that anxiety instantly. And that's understandable now, given how anxious I was. And one common trait that I've seen with people who do binge drink is low self-esteem. You see people who are alcoholics who the shame and the guilt, which is obviously furthered by the alcohol, but they just have such low self-esteem. And that's me, they're not confident people, but they're also quite, a lot of cases from what I've seen, they've empathy, but they've done so much bad shit when they're drunk, they change, and I'd find that out myself. Sorry, just get a bit of water. You do find it changes your personality, and I just start smoking weed and drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, that kind of thing. But I remember being 16 and I drank an entire bottle of wine just to go out with my friends. Literally, or they weren't really friends, they weren't great friends. But I just thought, fuck it, I'll have a bottle of wine. So I just drank the entire thing, and was falling all over the place. And everybody, they weren't necessarily the nicest people, but even they were concerned that something was up. They put my hands over my face and just screaming at people that walk by. And then you kind of look and you think, Jesus, there were warning signs there, alright. I remember when you get your results back in fourth year of secondary school and people go out partying to a disco or something. It's just something I didn't want to do ever. But they're all planning their night out, and with me, all I was doing was I played a rugby game that day and we got our results. for the junior cert, and then I just had a. I remember when I was staying in my dad's house down in Cork. A few of the lads there had left a couple of cans out in their fridge, and I put them all into a bag, and I brought them home with me, and then I necked them all, like I drank them all there in my room. Just felt like, oh, I love this feeling. Alcohol's fucking great. Um, and yeah, like a lot of alone drinking. Like when I was working in the summers, I'd usually come back and get a. I usually got served, so I'd get a couple of cans of cider. And I remember sitting on a bench with my brother after a day's work, drinking cider and thinking, Jesus, this is sad. You know, I just thought, fucking hell, what a sad case I am. So then when you're hanging out with people, you don't care who it is because you're like, Jesus, finally have friends. Isn't this great? But it wasn't really. I was kind of just. I was easy to manipulate, because I was so vulnerable. And I'm lucky nothing bad ever really happened. Seriously. But, like, I didn't care. When people showed me, like, people say nobody wants to be an alcoholic when they grow up. And I just kind of looked at it and I thought, I don't really care. I love alcohol. I don't really give a shit if I end up being that way because it's better than what I'm at when I'm like now. Isn't that fucking tragic? But that's the truth. It didn't deter me from being an alcoholic. I thought to myself, well, fuck it, it's better than living the way I am now. I'll be alone for the rest of my life, the way I am. So I need something to help me. And the medication the doctors is giving me, that's not fucking helping. So you think, oh yeah, it's all fun and games. Like I go off with friends from school. We'd go off after training together and we'd have parties up in his house and there were girls there. I was finally talking to girls. I was drinking, so I was loose and I was limber. I was talking and chatting away. Getting a few kisses as well. We called them a meet in Dublin. But I was there thinking, Jesus, I kind of progressed fast. I went from not being able to chat to women to all of a sudden getting meets. And alcohol did that for me. I loved it. I thought it was the wonder drug and it was legal. And I'd drink anything I'd get my hands on. Like I remember on a school trip in transition year, literally the mission was to get alcohol. When you're young, it is to just get drink and that's what you want to do. So I remember finding a couple of cans of Guinness in the fridge. I know, right? It's sacrilege. But I drank them, gave me a bit of a buzz. I mixed them with antidepressants, which you should never do. But I didn't know. I didn't care either. And then like a couple of the lads found a bottle of Smithwick's, like a big bottle, and they were like, "Oh, this stuff's piss." I was like, "Oh, I'll drink it." And they were like, "Yeah, here you go." Um, and I remember just getting the buzz and thinking, "Oh, this is great. Yeah, I love this. My mission is a success." And then on nights out, just with lads like getting into trouble, being obnoxiously drunk, like coming back with a raging hangover. Some of it was just, going to nightclubs and being a young person, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just living your life. But there were some serious red flags. Like, I remember going out with my brother and convinced him to go to, it's called the pre-debs. So it's like, it's before your actual debs, your prom, pre-prom, I'm going to call it that. But I'd gone the previous year and met a few good looking girls and gotten a few kisses. So I was saying to him, "Oh, come on, you'll have a great time. We'll have a few drinks." And it was a bit of a sausage fest. It wasn't anything like it had been the previous year. Um, and like I was going around the place. This is how much I love drinking. If I saw an unattended drink, I would just literally take it, spin around like I had a move for taking drinks and just not getting caught, and then I'd neck them and put them down before anyone could spot me. Saw like a fish bowl, I walked over and took a sip out of the straw, and like I was just necking everything. It's a wonder I could still stand up. But my brother's a bit more introverted, um, and an incident happened. Said he lost his jacket, and I was so drunk. I went out and found another lad's, and I handed it to him, and I said, "Oh, is this it?" And he said, "Oh, it's not." A fella came in looking for it, and I was like, "No, that's my brother's," and he was like, "No, no, no, Dan, that's not mine. That's this lad's." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, mate, I got the wrong one." And he calmed down, and we were told just to shake hands and forget about it. But then one of his mates saw him shoving my brother, so I ran over, shoved him into the railing, and then the bouncer grabbed me. Maybe I did more than I thought I did, but I was grabbed anyway and taken outside and forced to just get on the bus back to our area. You know, this was out in the arsehole of nowhere. But basically, it sparked up the whole thing again because I saw my brother getting shoved, so I was like, fuck this, and just fucking shoved the fella. And I was so blackout drunk, like anything could have happened to me and I wouldn't have known. I was in such a bad state, and I was kind of like I was grabbed before I could do any more damage, but I was pissed off, like I was waiting to just have a go, you know. Um, yeah, on a rugby trip as well for the school. Again, the mission was get served alcohol because I was only young still at the time, and yeah, we were trying to get served drink, and I got really nervous going in, and the fellow I was with wasn't the full shilling, and he messed it up, and then we found out that a Spanish student was like 19, so we were like, you get us Bulmers, Alvaro, and he was like, see. He comes out with like 6 cans of Linden Village, which is piss, you know, but it's like 6% alcohol. And he was like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted." And I was like, "No, no, no, it's grand, it's all right." So all our teachers were buckled drunk as well, which didn't go down very well. But so I was like, these cans will get me started off, and then hopefully have a bit more. So I was trekking into the town, like down in Cork, and we were looking for a pub. We went out to the arsehole of nowhere again and just found a pub, and the alcohol was cheap enough. But I'd been wandering around, stuff had been happening, and um, the police got called anyway, the guards, the Irish police, and I remember when they came in one of the times, and I was just sitting there like something from The Sopranos, you know. A few of the lads were playing poker, and it was a hostel we were staying in, and I was just sitting there with a cigarette, like under the light, in my jocks, like just nothing but my jocks, no t-shirt or nothing. And the guard comes up and they're like, "Oh, how are you?" And he's just laughing. He's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" But later that night, anyway, I went out for a bit longer, and we tried getting a bit of sleep. I was knackered, so I wanted some sleep. The lads were annoying me, kept on turning on the lights, and then they eventually went off to another room. And then when I got back, I wasn't there. I don't really have much recollection of it, if I'm being honest, but basically I went missing and there was a manhunt for me. Um, and my brother and my schoolmates were like teammates, like they were looking for me. And when my brother gave the description to in the Garda station, the police station, they said, yeah, a fella matching that description is getting his head kicked in. You know, you'd wonder why they weren't fucking doing something about it, because that was literally beside the Garda station. So you're kind of thinking, well, should not be sorting it out. There's like 3 lads kicking the fella's head in. So my brother shat himself and thought, oh my god, it's Dan. It wasn't me, thank god. It could have been. Maybe I was so out of it I didn't realise. But they got back to the room after looking and thinking, okay, we gotta call the police. And there I was asleep. Maybe if the teachers hadn't drank so much, there wouldn't have been such an issue. According to my brother, the teacher could barely get the door open to my room. So that's just another story. There's another time when I was again hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I still don't know what came over me. You know, bit of strange behaviour, but I remember we were out just near a leisure centre, like a swimming pool, and I had my gym bag full of cans, and we were smoking a bit of weed, and I was drinking, and it was pissing rain. It was March, like the middle of March, and it was freezing cold. Because we were beside a swimming pool and there was a big puddle in the field next to the pool, I just thought, wouldn't it be gas? Like, wouldn't it be hilarious if I took off all my clothes and just jumped through it? You know, pretended it was a swimming pool and I was pulling myself along the grass, completely naked. Like, it was. They thought this was hilarious, obviously, and it was just such a mad thing to do, you know. But I didn't give a shit. I just thought, yeah, this is hilarious. Put the clothes back on, and they were all like, "You're gonna fucking die. You're gonna get hypothermia. It's freezing out." And thank God, one of the girls with us, I fancied her, but in fairness, I don't blame her for not giving me a chance, because it's a pretty fucking strange thing to do, isn't it? But she basically just grabbed my phone out of my bag, called my mum and my brother, and said, "Look, I'm really worried about him. He's after doing this, and I'm worried he's going to be frozen to death," basically. So I'm very grateful for that girl for doing what she did, because I was just out of it. You know, I was in such a bad place that I could have gotten hypothermia. It was really bad. I didn't really care. I just was kind of numb to a lot of things, you know, if I'm being honest. But it's another thing. And then just a lot of getting blackout drunk, like drinking so much till I passed out almost. Not all the time, but a lot. Like, just to give you an example of how much I would have. I remember before, um, in one night, I had 14 pints of Heineken, 8 Jaeger bombs, 2 shots of tequila, 2 shots of Sambuca, and a bit of whiskey as well. I think like 1 or 2 glasses of whiskey. Oh, and to, to make matters worse, I smoked a joint and about 4, 5 lines of coke. So yeah, that's that'll just show you how bad it can get. I'm amazed sometimes how I'm not dead. But like, that was the thing. I was never one to drink every day in the morning, but when I went out, I fucking went out. You know, like, especially after rugby games, like I touched on before. But you know, you'd start drinking straight after your game, so that really encouraged me to do it. Being in college as well, you really were encouraged to enjoy your freshers week and social nights. And I remember going out for a mystery tour that they had. And again, they took us to another nightclub in the arsehole of nowhere. Actually, pretty good club. But I remember thinking I'd ease myself into it. But I remember having like 2 pints in the bar beforehand, kind of pacing myself. Like, people were drinking more than I was, but I remember having about 2 pints of Heineken. And then it was a girl going by asking if I wanted any Jello shots, and I said, "I don't know. I think I'll pace myself." And she said, she smiled at me and said, "Oh, they're free." And I was like, "I'll have 5, please." And I duly did. And then I got myself like, what was it, 6 cans of Carling. Had them on the bus on the way there. Oh, and Jesus, when I got there, take what I've already said, how much I had to drink, the 14 pints, and then Jaeger bombs were just flowing the whole night. And I was so drunk, I was wandering around the place causing chaos. Wasn't fighting with anyone, like I was chatting away to people, having a laugh, you know, and having a bit of banter. But I remember wandering trying to find the toilet, and I ended up in some function room. Um, I don't know, some fella came in, like manager or whatever. He was like, how the fuck did you get in here? It was supposed to be locked. And I was like, I'm locked as well, mate. So he obviously was like, watch this fella, he's fucking tapped. And like, I got in a bit of trouble for like messing around, like lifting a lad up and kind of throwing him up in the air. Like, not in a bad way. Like, we were having a laugh, and we all did it, but I was the main perpetrator, shall we say. But then I kind of pushed my luck, and walking down the stairs from one area of the nightclub to the other, and I missed a step and just went flying down the stairs and tripped up a load of people while I was at it. I remember just being on the ground, like in a heap, like a drunken heap, and the bouncers lifted me up to carry me out. And I was there going, alright lads, where are we going next? Didn't know what the fuck was going on. They just basically threw me out. Two of my mates were in a bad state as well. One of them was face down urinal. And we were just basically thrown out into the middle of the street. It was like, fuck's sake. Because we were obviously buckled at this stage. And we were lucky to get back, like looking at it seriously, you know. It was quite a bad state. And there were a few incidents of me just drinking a lot at home and then crying and telling my mum and my brother that I wanted to kill myself, calling my dad and being like, oh, you know, I'm fucking in such a bad state, I want to end my own life. Which I felt a lot of times, like, you know, that's the negative to alcohol, is it's a depressant. It's a depressant, and it will make you feel like that. It's a bad drug, you know. And like, I'm only talking about the beginnings of what were to come, you know. So yeah, there were worse incidents, and they came later on. So there was a lot of harmless enough incidents where I would drink way too much and just not sleep, stay up all night and feel dreadful the next day. Not really much to talk about, but um, there was a friend's 21st where it was actually kind of funny. Like, you know, there was a bit of a brawl outside, but we were all kind of involved in that because one of our mates got shoved into a wall basically when we were told to leave, and he got angry, rightfully so, you know. And I basically went into supersonic mode, and there were three lads lying on top of my mate whose 21st it was his birthday, so I don't want the birthday boy to get his head kicked in. And I was just really calm, just peeling people off him and going, yeah, get off, leave it. And I grabbed the fella who was coming back and I was like, look, just fuck off, leave him. I was like, right, you get up, get in the taxi, go home. So I had my moments as well. But yeah, I guess the first real oh shit moment was, I mean, there should have been more, but it was a family trip. So it was my Dutch uncle's 60th birthday, and he'd invited us over. I'd been having difficulty with not really work, but just didn't feel very fulfilled. I wasn't really getting on with the one of the girls that I worked with there the most, so I was kind of like, fuck's sake, why did I get stuck with her? College was dragging by, it was really tough. This is just before the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, it was December 2019, Friday the 13th. Fuck's sake, I should have seen it coming, shouldn't I? But I had a few issues with, there was a class exam coming up, and it was supposed to be the Thursday, so the 12th of December. So I was like, grand, check that, double check. My dad was like, I need to know if you're able to go so I can book you on the flight and it'll be cheaper. I said, yeah, no problem, I just need to make sure I've no exam on the Friday. It's the final day of term before Christmas, so I just need to make sure. He was like, yeah, grand, no problem at all. Just make sure. I was like, okay. So double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked, And then I was like, okay, everyone's saying it's Thursday, grand, we'll go with that. Then I asked the lecturer, just to be safe before leaving, I was like, sorry, I'm just checking the exam is still on Thursday. Oh no, there was a class vote, we're having it on Friday. I was like, are you fucking joking me? Like, I double checked it, triple checked and all, so it was like, but I never was told about this, neither was half the class. I had to play the disability card, basically, which I don't like doing, but I said I wasn't told about it. Like, you have the class votes had to be unanimous. They weren't. Most people weren't even told about it. So that was bullshit, but I got that sorted anyway when I came back. So I was like, grand, I'll go. And this, like, when I say this out loud now, it just seems weird, doesn't it? Like, the situation I'm about to tell you. But my auntie over in Holland and my blood relative, she was talking to my dad, and I'd been over there earlier in the year in summertime, and she said Schiphol Airport is very busy in Amsterdam. He's autistic. He could get lost. He was drinking a lot the last time he was over, so I'm a bit concerned about him. I think you should fly over with him. And we were going to all come over. Like, it was going to be my dad, my uncle, and then his wife. We were all going to fly over together, and my dad obviously took offence to what my auntie over in Holland had said. He's like, he's not a fucking retard, and he can do it on his own. And then he said, prove to me and to yourself that you can do this. She thinks you're a fucking retard. I'm booking you on a flight on your own, and you can meet us over there. I was like, that's a bit weird. He's like, just do it to prove to her, me, and yourself. And I was like, oh, fine, fuck it. Okay. Very strange though when you think about it, isn't it? But I had a bit of issue checking in a bag with Ryanair. Who doesn't? Am I right? But I was just made the thing more stressful going over. Finally landed. I don't really like flying. Not that I'm a nervous flyer. I fucking hate the seats and how small they are in a Ryanair plane. They're tiny. I was on my own, so I was in my own head. I didn't like that anyway. I wasn't in a good headspace. But it's not a long flight, thankfully. Got to Schiphol Airport. They're very well organised. The train system in Holland is excellent. So much more efficient. It's easier to find your way around there in a foreign country than it is in Dublin. So not a problem. Got to Utrecht, where my family are from, in Holland, and then went to meet them, still in my suitcase, and we went out to get a bit of food, have a few beers. I was drinking this 8% Belgian beer. 8 or 10%. It was high in alcohol anyway, and it was fucking lovely. And like I said, me being an anxious person, being stressed out from the flight, it was lovely. Went down so well, a bit too well. And so my saw my Dutch uncle there, and he was just chatting away. They were going back. Saw my cousin, who I'm quite close with, and we were chatting. My Dutch cousin. They all went back to their house, and me and my Irish uncle were just talking. We stayed up after everybody else did. We went back to the little kind of loft or hostel place we were staying in. He was drinking double gin and tonics, so that should have been a red flag, and I was drinking the 8% Belgian beer. And we started singing. We started singing Fairy Tale in New York, so that's when things aren't going well. We were told we weren't going to get served anymore. We got a little bit thick. We're like, for fuck's sake, we're only singing and we're only having a laugh. So I was like, alright, grand, well, maybe we should go back to bed. My uncle was gone. He went back to the spot where we were getting dinner, and he was drinking there, and I was like, right, we'll have a few drinks here. We were fucking off our heads, like we were drinking so much, and I was like calling people and texting people, just drunk texting, which I do a lot, and making stupid cringy videos. And then we stumbled back to our accommodation, and it was locked as we're waiting. and the door was shut. It was a Dutch winter, like, and it's a very dry, kind of cold, you know. Mainland Europe just gets fucking freezing. And we were like, oh, it's freezing out here, let us in. And we were like, how the fuck do we get in? You had to go around the back. FYI, if anyone's ever locked out with their accommodation in Holland, go around the back. Don't do what we did. We kicked the door, we were banging, we were screaming. Apparently we've been doing this in a few places and causing chaos, which I didn't realise, but a fella came down and told us to shut up, basically, and we said, oh, fuck off, and screaming, obviously, at him. And he went back and called the police. Next thing I know, they show up, and I'm like, oh, fuck, it's the police. And I was kind of laughing, going, hey, what are you doing? And they were trying to put cuffs on me. I was like, I haven't done anything wrong, get the fuck off me. And then next thing I had was getting pinned in the car and cuffs put on me. My uncle, don't know what happened to him to this day, he escaped. They actually found him in Amsterdam screaming and roaring at cars trying to get in, trying to get a taxi. No one would take him. Crafty little bastard. I wasn't so lucky, and I got dragged back to a cell where I spent the night. And originally I was really pissed off because like I was locked in a room. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I haven't done anything. But then I burnt myself out and I was kicking and screaming, and I was like, can I please just have some water? Can I go to the toilet? And a psychiatrist was brought in to check on me because I was in a bad way. Like, I was really in such a bad state of mind. So can I please just go home? Even if you want to just send me back to Ireland, I don't mind. Like, I just want to get out of here. They were like, we'll let you go, nothing serious has happened, but you ever get into trouble here again, like, we won't be so sympathetic. I was like, that's fair enough, yeah, thanks. So they checked me out of the place, checked me out, gave me a free bus ticket, and gave me some food before I left. And I remember just the shame I felt waiting for the bus to come. I was like, fucking hell. My phone was dead as well when they gave me back all my belongings. My passport, of course, was still in there, so great. That showed you how quick it took me to get into trouble. And like I say, the transport system is excellent, so I thought, alright, we've had a bit to eat, get a coffee into you, sober up as best you can, because I was fucking dying. Go to the shop where your cousin works, you know where he works, grand, go there, get a phone charger. Because I realised I didn't have one with me. I was like, get one off him, an adapter as well. So I went, met up with him. I was asking for him. I was like to the guys in the shop, sorry, do you know who my cousin is? Gave the name. Kind of looking at me a bit funny. He came out laughing. He was like, do you know what you got up to last night? And I was like, oh no. And he said, I'll tell you later. We were all worried sick about you. And then I said, he'll show up. I know he will. He knows me well. I always find my way back. But yeah, I remember going in to see everyone. They were like, oh shit, we were worried about you. I actually made up some bullshit lie that I was meeting up with a rugby coach, because he was living over in Amsterdam, and I was actually supposed to meet him. I said I would. I was like, fuck. He was actually a barrister, so I thought, if it gets to it, maybe I'll have to use your services. Stood the poor fellow up because obviously I got into trouble the night before. So I gave my family a bullshit lie. They obviously could tell I wasn't telling the whole truth, but yeah, it was tough. And my dad was basically talking to me and was like, your room's still untouched, your case is still there. It was like, what the fuck happened? I was like, look, Dad, to be honest with you, I got arrested last night, and yeah, I got into some trouble, but it's all good, I'm out now, I'm really sorry. And he was like, ah, sure, we've all done that. Which is the best response I could have hoped for at the time. But he said, right, get yourself sober up and we're going to have a bit of grub and we'll head out later for your uncle's 60th. My brother and my mum called because I'd obviously sent them a text saying I didn't feel great. They put two and two together and they interrogated me and were like, obviously concerned. Like, it was in a good way, it was well intentioned. and they were like, "What the fuck happened?" I was like, "Oh shit, I got arrested last night." And then my brother called my dad and was like, "What the fuck? Like, he's autistic and he's not in a good way. You should have been looking after him." And my dad obviously didn't take that very well. Got really pissed off and was like, "Don't you fucking be ringing me saying all this," and then hung up on him. Then had a go at me saying, "Look, this is all coming back on me now. You need to cop the fuck on." A second ago, when you would have been perfectly justified to have a go at me, you didn't. You said, "Oh, we've all been there, like, it's fine." Whereas I was expecting him to rip my head off, and I thought, I have no comeback to that if he does. I was like, it's perfectly justified. But he didn't give a shit. He only cared when it came back on him. It was kind of like, that's great, isn't it? It sums him up, just you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as it doesn't come back on me. So it kind of has its perks. It's like the reason I'm a problem drinker is because I drink like you, just in excess. Yeah. So went out that night anyway, had a few beers, had a bit of a laugh about what happened, even though it was obviously in a terrible way and it wasn't funny. But tried to pass it off and pretend it was funny. Got back to Ireland and was joking with lads in work. Um, yeah, not good. Gotta be careful in the future anyway. But like when I just as COVID hit kind of in 2020, it was been out drinking a little bit. It's around March when it all kicked off in 2020, and that's when I went out. That's like the measure that I was giving you earlier, where we thought COVID's going to hit. So we went to a bar where my mate worked, and we had a lock in Dublin city centre, and we had a lot to drink. 14, 15 pints of Heineken, and the eight could have even been up to 10 Jaeger bombs, and then all the shots, like 2 shots of tequila, 2 sambucas, whatever else. At that point, you lose count. Had a joint and then a few of the lines of coke as well, which was not good at all. And I had a banging headache. Jesus, I felt dreadful the next day. And we were all joking, saying, "Oh, we're going to be stuck here for life," just living off alcohol, thinking about, Shaun of the Dead, have a nice cold pint away for all this to blow over. And, but yeah, it was a tough time, COVID kind of came at a good time for me. I know it wasn't good for a lot of reasons, but one thing it did give me was a chill time, because I was going to drop out of college. Labs were getting too much, was very claustrophobic. We were all on top of each other. I was struggling in class. Now online assignments just gave me a breather. So that was good. I liked that. Coming in every so often, I didn't mind doing that at all. But then, like this, we'd be out drinking again too much. I put on a lot of weight. It wasn't doing well at all. So sluggish, so fat. Not thin now, but better than I was then, believe me. And in May time, I was at I was drinking with 2 mates. I was at one of their houses. They used to like to slag me. I kind of made myself the bit of the butt of the jokes. I was kind of like the funny guy, or the guy who did the outrageous things, or the guy that everybody had to look after when he was out drinking, and get into a state and start crying or whatever, say something outlandish. I just basically didn't like it. I had enough, and I said, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm going home," because it wasn't too far to walk to my house in Dublin. And then one of the lads insisted on walking with me. I've told this story before, but basically I just said, "Here, I can't fucking do this anymore." Saw a car, sprinted for it, and tried to kill myself. That was my attempt anyway. And then he said all these things to me and said, "Oh, these people miss you. That's a fucking stupid thing to do." And I was like, "Oh, just go home, leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it." He texted me and I said, "No, man, I don't want to talk about it, to be honest with you. Everyone thinks I'm a fucking joke." And I remember, like, my brother taking a picture of me the next day. He didn't know what had gone on, in fairness. But a bottle of Jägermeister that I bought, because I love Jägermeister. and he put it next to me while I was passed out on the couch in the morning time, and took a picture of me laughing. And I remember looking at it laughing, and then carrying on life as normal, And I remember putting a lot of pressure on myself to play rugby matches like rugby league. Um, this was like 24th of May when this happened. Like the binge drinking and then the suicide attempt, which is mad. But then I went straight into training, straight back to hiking again, which I guess is a good thing in a way. But I never addressed what had happened. That's a serious event, and nothing ever came of it. Like in a very short period of time, some serious shit that went on. Um, and I remember just starting back with rugby again, June and July, then playing games in August, well, late July, early August, and a couple of things got said on the pitch. I really didn't feel like being there. There were a few lads that played underage with my brother and were just kind of saying stuff like, "Oh, you've put on a bit of size or a bit of timber," and I was kind of thinking, "Oh, should I have said something? Should I have, whenever something physical had happened, I was kind of be good that way." But I remember just thinking to myself, I don't want to be on this pitch. I feel shit. I hate how a lot of the pressure is always put on me in games because I do actually play well. I'm not in any state to be one of our main players here. I tried to kill myself like less than 2 months ago. It was longer than that at this point, I think, but yeah, it would have been about 2 months, and maybe maybe a few, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2.5 months in this particular game. My memory's a little fuzzy about it, but I remember just going, Jesus, to even get out onto the pitch. And after that game, sure, I went back with a few of the lads and we were drinking in a lad's fancy house in Dublin 4. I just wanted to party afterwards, basically, and forget everything. Didn't give a shit about the game, if I'm being perfectly honest. I drank a lot of Guinness and beer, whatever was put in front of me, shots. Um, that's when we had to play that game. We were drinking Bailey's liqueur, Frank's hot sauce, and tuna chunks, and I fucking puked everywhere. It was fucking horrible. We went to get more drink, which is a good idea, isn't it? And I was out doing having a bit of coke with the fellas as well. Like we were sniffing it, I thought they were having a joint outside, but I was really drunk and I wanted to sober up fast, so handed me a little spoon and said, "Here, put that under your nose and you'll sober up," which I duly did. But the week afterwards, like I could barely get out of bed. It was fucking horrendous to come down. But it kept me going for a bit of the night, and then I didn't want to go to sleep. My God, I felt it afterwards. Um, Unbelievably so. And yeah, it's just something that you kind of just think to yourself, "Fuck, I never addressed that." And then I tried to, but I always get to rock bottom and be told, "Oh, you're depressed, here's some pills," and think that's not the fucking answer. Being out with mates from college as well, and like I don't really see them that much anymore, and I'm kind of not surprised because I've had a few incidents where I just, I was out like being the laugh of the party, but then saw a few guys like from a shop or whatever, rough housing or roughing up a fella like a homeless fella who's caused a bit of trouble. I just screamed at them and told them to fuck off, and the guards were going to put your man in the back of a van, and I said, "Oh, here, leave the fella alone." The fella was like, "Look, don't get yourself arrested, just fuck off, and just get yourself away from this, or else you'll get arrested too." And I think he was kind of looking after me, but he's kind of going, "Look, fuck off, you're going to get arrested as well." I was screaming and going a bit ape shit. And then another time when I was out with them, in fairness, a lot of people have put up with a lot of bullshit from me. They have, um, and I was at a rugby league training and it was going to be an awards night as well. And I got awarded forward of the year, so I was delighted with myself. Got a pair of sports socks, but they put a lot of money behind the bar for us as well. And I was just lashing back points again. It's like my hair was like really long and unkept, you know. Well, long for me anyway. I don't normally have it very long. Um, wasn't looking after myself. Looked fat and disgusting at the time. Um, fatter. But they texted me and they were like, "Oh, do you want fancy meeting up?" Girl from college that I was mates with, and her boyfriend who I got on with, and then one of his mates. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, can I meet you here in Terranure where I was drinking in the rugby club? And that's where we played the rugby league." And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, grand," and then we'll head off. We went to a pub, and I was fairly well oiled to begin with, but I had a bit of food, had a few more drinks. Then I start moving on to shots. I was like, "Oh yeah, can I get two Jaeger bombs, please?" And I paid for them before they closed, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we're closed now," and they hadn't brought them down. So I went up to ask about them. They were like, "No, the bar's closed now." And I said, "Yeah, well, I've paid for them." I said, "Can I have my drinks?" Like, and I was like, "If I'm not getting my drinks, I want my fucking money back." And it wouldn't be like me to get really thick with someone at the bar, you know. I'd normally not like that, but I was there going, "I want my fucking money back if I'm not gonna get." And then I got a bit aggressive, and I thought people were laughing at me. So I said, "Oh, you getting a good fucking laugh, are you?" And I started screaming at people, and they obviously thought, "Who's this fucking lunatic?" And I went outside, and Dublin had just beaten Mayo in the All Ireland final, and there were a few Mayo fans outside, and I asked one of the fellas for a cigarette, and he just looked at me and he went, "Oh, well, at least we've better barbers in Mayo and all," and said, "Look at the state of you," and was laughing, and I was like, "Alright, what a cunt," and I just went, "Yeah, well, you're never gonna fucking win an All Ireland, there, you," and like it was brilliant just to see his face drop. And then he kind of started walking up to me, and I shoved him. I said, "Get the fuck away from me, you prick! You're never gonna win an All Ireland." And I start getting really aggressive, and then another fella. Here's the thing that always happens with me, because I'm a bigger fella. It doesn't matter whether I've started it, and it always just seems to be just why I don't lose. I try not to lose my temper. Obviously, alcohol does bring the worst out in people, for sure. Oh, my back's just killing me there. But everybody was kind of eager to separate me from him. Um, we got our lift came, and he was just saying, "Cop the fuck on and just get in the car." And we went away, and then I remember feeling like, "Oh, I feel so shit about what I just did there." I was apologising to everybody. They were like, "No, it's okay." We laughed about it afterwards, but I mean, it's pretty ridiculous how I carried on. And then another time out with the group from college as well, which is the last time I've been out with all of them because of, yeah, how I acted. But yeah, it's just kind of hard to retrace my steps. I just felt a little bit in a pissy mood. I could kind of tell something was up. Then there was a homeless lad passed out on the street, and I kind of thought, well, no matter what we do for him now, he'll probably end up like this again. And thought people were. I got very paranoid. People were just asking, "Was he alright?" And I got a bit aggressive, and I was like, "Jesus, what the fuck? Why did I do that?" They were telling me to calm down, like my mates with me from college. And then the paramedics and the police got there, and yeah, I guess I saw a few of them laughing and joking, and I just said, "Do you think this is fucking funny? Like the fellas conked out, this is what are you laughing at? This is ridiculous." And your man got really aggressive and said, "Oh, do you want to go on the back of that van? The guy can arrest you now." It was like, you acting like Billy Big Bollocks, like, why are you fucking threatening me? Oh, and then he was just flexing his muscles, wanted to look like the big man. And I'd had too much, and I was obviously just I was kind of, I get very, why is the world such an evil place? You know, why does everyone have to suffer, and isn't everything fucking awful when I drink? Like I'm like that anyway. think of the world suffering, and it doesn't matter how well something works out for me because there's people all around the world suffering, and alcohol makes that 10 times worse for me, and it's only getting worse as I get older. So yeah, I remember he said, "Oh, you'd be going in the back of that van if it wasn't for your friends. So I hope you know that." And I was like, "Ah, fuck off." But I should have just left it to begin with. Let's be honest. Yeah, that's not me. I want to go out and enjoy myself, but I have too much of in a bad way, and I just let it get the better of me. Um, Another time when I was out drinking and with my mates from school and mate from the army. Not I wasn't in the army, but he was in it. Should have just gotten in a taxi with him. There was a famous politician I won't mention. Um, Anyway, he wasn't very well liked, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to get a better chance to say how I feel about him. I started screaming at him and roaring abuse at him, saying he was ruining the country and there's loads of homeless people outside and he should feel ashamed of himself because of the housing crisis in Ireland and it's directly their fault. Like this kind of social justice warrior. Now, I was genuinely pissed off. Um, Probably wouldn't have said it if I was sober, but I thought I'm never going to get another chance. And this was a spot where we drank in all the time and we love it, and I'm hoping they don't remember me when I go back because I like it there. But basically, I was told to leave with my mates. They were looking after me again. The police were called and said I had to vacate the area, and then they were following me, saying if you don't leave now, we're arresting you, so go. And they were following, making sure I did, kind of circling back. Stuff like that. That's just, I thought I'd take a deep dive, but this is another thing that happens with me a lot that is dangerous. So I remember before, you know, I'm always one that ends up sleeping in some randomer's couch or being like, oh, I need a place to stay. And my last rugby game was a rugby league game over in Banbridge, Northern Ireland. I didn't want to play it, said, fuck it, they need subs. So I was like, but look, I can't last any longer than maybe 25 minutes or half an hour. They were like, grand, yeah, we just need subs. And I thought, okay, substitute, that's fine, I can do that. Lads weren't showing up. I was like, fuck's sake, I have to play now. They were like, yeah, could you start? And I said, yeah, okay, I'll start. Um, just wasn't fit. Got a try, did really well in the game for the length of time I was on, made loads of tackles. If you ever play teams from Northern Ireland, they're fucking huge. Which makes you wonder why Ulster aren't so big, because the clubs are massive. Just yeah, big fuckers, like big lads, Usually alright lads as well, sound enough. But yeah, very muscular as well. Maybe the drugs are different over there. But yeah, we had a few drinks in the clubhouse afterwards, and I was having a laugh with a few of the lads from our team, and also a few of the lads from the team from Banbridge. We were having a chat. Like I remembered a few of them. A few of them were decent lads, and I was talking away to them. And then we went back to clubhouse in Dublin. It's just chatting away to the lads, having a few pints of Guinness. They put a bit of money behind the bar again for us. Then the lads said, "Oh, we're heading out to Bagot Street in town, well, near South Dublin." I was like, "Yeah, cool," because the lad I was getting a lift with, he was going back to Arklow, which is South County Wicklow. I was Gorey, so Gorey is north, east Wexford, so they're right beside each other. But he had about 6 points of Guinness, and I thought, no, I want to stay out anyway. I thought to myself, no, I want to stay out anyway, and he's been drinking, so I'll stay with one of the lads. I just said I need a spot to stay, if that's alright. Otherwise, I won't be able to. And one of the lads said, oh yeah, you can stay with me, and another lad was like, yeah, you can stay with me if he ends up staying out later. And we went off and had a lot to drink, a lot of shots and more Guinness. I was pissed drunk. Then the lad I was supposed to be staying with wanted to go to a sleazy gentleman's club, and I was like, nah, this place is a kip. Went in for like 2 minutes, left. They wanted to buy drugs, they wanted some coke, and I wasn't up for getting it. I thought, nah, I'm not having that again. So the other lad was over in the north inner city. Um, so I literally walked from Leeson Street to Marino in North Dublin, trekking all the way through town. It took me about an hour, hour and a half to find out where he was, because fucking built up area. And I've done that a lot. In Dublin city centre's not safe. Certainly not now. Like, it's even more dangerous than it was, especially at that time. Like, I was doing this at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I've done that loads of times where I'm just wandering through Dublin city centre early in the morning. I walked through, if you can believe this, this is a good one. So, I remember for a girl from college was having her birthday, and it was out in Smithfield. And then afterwards, we went off to Flannery's in Camden Street in Dublin. And I was staying with my auntie, and I ended up getting the first bus I could near enough to kind of, out towards Clondalkin sort of way. Ended up in Palmerstown. Ended up walking from there through Ballyfermot, which is, anyone who's not Irish, it's not very safe. It's one of the most dangerous parts of Dublin. Anyone from Ireland knows that's a bad idea. And seeing like about 10, 11 lads at a chipper, like just around, and I was hiding at the bus stop, kind of holding back, because one fella was asking me for a smoke, and I was like, "Nah, I don't have one, mate, sorry." And he was like, "Yeah, just watch yourself, those lads over there." And I was like, "You keep your voice down, they'll come over here," and there's loads of them. They had like chains and pipes and whatever, and lead pipes. I was like, "Fuck's sake." So I was just kind of standing beside, at the back of the bus stop, so they didn't really see me, thinking, "Could this fucking thing hurry up? This is a dodgy kip. Get me out of here." Um, and yeah, like the physical symptoms of after a night of drinking, when you finally do get home safely, uh, when you haven't been killed wandering through the streets of Dublin, and God knows where else, because I've done, after being kicked out of nightclubs, I've been wandering around places I don't know at all as well, which is never a good idea. But, yeah, it's just, I'm just like, I've done so much dodgy shit, and lucky that I haven't been too badly affected. But when you drink too much, you get bad acid reflux. You get sick as well. You just feel like shit. You feel groggy. Your head is all over the place. You don't feel well. Your motivation goes to shit. And I found it hard, like, went away with my mates from school there to Spain, and like we drank every day, and every night. I had a bit of fun, but I'd kind of like to pack it in now, because I went, longest I've gone recently was 8 months, and then I went out. But yeah, I remember when I decided to stop drinking, I'd been making a plan for a while. Ireland played South Africa in the World Cup. Might do a bit of rugby content in the future, because it's something I'm really into. Great rivalry that as well. It's starting to brew nicely. I've had a few arguments with South African fans, which are always fun. But I've got a few good mates as well that they're a rugby mad nation. But I remember going out, just meeting a lad in town, and I was planning on not drinking, but I've had this on and off thing where I'll say I'm taking my antidepressants, I'm not drinking, but then I will. It's happens all the time to me. Would have been, if my memory is right, it was either September 16th or 17th of last year, so 2023. And then it's the 9th, so yeah, I managed to stay. I remember feeling like shit, I had a lot to drink, and I remember thinking, "No, I'm taking a breather." because I felt so down the dumps, so worthless, so useless that I couldn't repair stuff in the house, and I was trying to get like lawnmowers repaired and stuff done in our house down here in Wexford for our mum. Everything was getting on top of me. I'd left the job, the pharmaceutical job, and I felt like shit. Felt so worthless. Felt like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? It was my birthday, and I felt like, oh, this is shit, you know. Um, Not even excited that it's my birthday. It's just another fucking day. Everything was just so bad. But then I went out to meet these guys in town. They were like, okay, we need to get Dan drunk now. Everybody needs to catch up because I was a bit late. Ireland had just beaten South Africa in the World Cup. There were good vibes. I said, fuck it, let's have a drink, let's have a shot. And I drank loads, which wasn't my plan. So then I was like, right, I need to have a proper plan. I need to stay off it for a while. So I did. So about September 16th, 2023, stayed off it until it was April, about mid-April of this year, if I'm right, you know, if I, yeah. And it's just something I've observed that some people might find useful, but I'd stayed off it. Hadn't really been going out to venues now, so I will say that, you know, just didn't want any temptation because I was trying to kind of change my lifestyle, you know, and I've been researching how to stay off alcohol, why AA didn't work for people, why they found certain websites helpful. There's a guy that I really like that I watch Habits V2, Kevin O'Hara. In fairness to him, he messaged me himself privately, and I thought he was a really nice fella. And he talked about wanting to reach out to my age group and to stop drinking, which I thought was very interesting. I thought I like his approach where he's not limiting your life, and watching him helped me stay sober for as long as I did, and not drink alcohol. And I'd been out to one of my female friends, was her birthday, and we have a good laugh, and she's got a great personality, and all her friends, like, they're all really good looking, and but we're friends, you know, and I'm kind of like, yeah, you can be friends with good looking girls and have a laugh, and it's good to have them, and they're really nice people. As they're sometimes I turn down certain events with them, and because I wasn't in a good headspace, and I just knew I wouldn't be in a good place after it. But I went to her birthday, and this was the December of that year, of last year, 2023. I didn't drink, had a few Heineken Zeros. I like Heineken Zero and Guinness Zero. I find them really helpful if you're looking for non-alcoholic drinks. Erdinger, lovely as well. Um, and I didn't drink. It was like, they're probably going to want to go to a nightclub afterwards. I won't. I'll leave it, because if I go to that, I won't feel good. And I definitely will drink because I get so anxious in those places. And you're always hyper vigilant because they're good looking girls. You're there worried that some lads are going to try something with them, and I'm kind of hyper vigilant, thinking, fuck, do I have to do something here? And I was just like, just keep an eye on it, let them know you're there to help them out. And I like to just do that. I like to be quite chivalrous, you know, I like to be a good human being. Um, and there was I felt kind of nervous about seeing them, because another thing that happened when I had everybody down, um, I had everybody down for summertime the previous year. First time they were all of them were down in the house in Wexford. I had way too much to drink, and one of my friends, he was messing around with our puppy Alfie, and I absolutely adore that dog to bits. And my brother's mate, who I get on with, was coming down as well, and he said, "Oh, you'd want to watch so and so. He's after doing something to your dog." And I went ape shit and was like, "Where is he? I'm gonna fucking kill him." And one of the lads just got in the way and was like, "Whoa, whoa, just calm down." I went, "Not get out of my way," shoved him, fucking nearly sculled him on the patio, you know. And oh, and my brother, who's quite strong, wrestled me to the ground and got me in a headlock, and I bit him. to try and get free. You know, I was there going to get off me and gonna fucking kill him. I told your man, get out of this fucking house. He was like, look, I'm sorry, I don't know what you think I did, but I didn't touch the dog, I swear to God. And then I calmed down. I was a bit embarrassed, but in fairness, none of them turned their back on me there either. So, like, I was glad how that went. I didn't drink at her birthday, even though I had a bit of a trigger, thinking, oh, did I remember? They didn't, thankfully. Um, yeah, and so I went until April, and I remember I went out to meet my mate who was moving over to Spain to give him a present. He was the one who I sent flying into the patio, so yeah, fairness to him, he helped me out in some shitty situations. There was a group of us at the table, like just in Dundrum, in Pie, a nice spot around there. Bit of a nice chilled atmosphere, so it was kind of like I don't feel the need to drink. I was having Heineken Zero, but I was feeling the urge to drink because I see the lads drink, and I was like, oh yeah, have a drink, you'll enjoy it. And I was like, no, 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 I'm not going to, I'll be fine. So I didn't. Stayed in my granddad's house that night. Um, he wasn't there at this stage, so I know I spoke earlier about that relationship, but nah, he wasn't staying there at that time, so it was okay. It was all good that I stayed there, and I just had to be gone by a certain time the next day. But I remember the lad I helped rugby coach, um, Fozzie was saying to me, "Oh, I've got a. Do you want a fancy coming up for um just to watch a game? Like I'm coaching today, and then the firsts are playing up at Wanderers Rugby Club, who I also played a few games for myself. But I was like, yeah, it'd be good to meet up with you. I'm in Dublin today." And then afterwards, he said, "Oh, I have tickets to the Leinster game if you fancy." Lovely fella, didn't ask for any money for them. We went, just said, "Oh, I've got a ticket if you want it, no problem. Come with me. We'll have a laugh." Talk grand. And I remember just like thinking, I managed to not drink the night previously in a environment where I would have definitely felt more anxious. I didn't feel anxious here, but I remember just I love playing rugby and drinking, and I love watching rugby and drinking. It's not that I don't enjoy the sport; like I do enjoy it, and I can watch it on the TV all the time and not drink. But I remember just going, a pint of Guinness would be lovely right now, and I could see everybody else enjoying them. And I guess that being normalised to you, you know, because I'm there thinking I'm not having too many. And I only had about four in the clubhouse, and then we went off, and I had to bring a few of the kids that we coach. His son, I was like, yeah, I'll go with them. I'll bring them to the stadium. So I did, and we walked over. I was like, right, well, I've got to be relatively sober going in, so I keep an eye on them. It was like herding sheep, but no, they were grand. Like it wasn't too bad. Uh, and we went, got there, and I had a few more, and I had a really good time. No real hangover the next day. I had a good laugh with everybody. Felt good. It was like that was nice. But here's the thing, right? So I was staying at my granddad's an extra night. I was just like, "Dad, is everyone out? Is it alright if I go back?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay. There's nobody there now." And I remember just thinking, right, I'll go home, um, go back to my granddad's, and I go to sleep. Then I was there looking at the local pub where I'd been in a few times, and I'd had about we had about this stage 7 or 8 pints of Guinness. It was like, oh, I wonder how long the pub's open till. So I was like 12:30, nearly 1 o'clock. Place stayed open till 2:30. So I was like, oh, I'll head in there and then I'll get a few more points. Got about three more. And I was like, I can walk home. It's only like 5 minutes down the road. And then when I got home, saw wine in the fridge. I was like, oh, I'll have a bit of wine. Don't like wine, so. But you can see how it kind of spirals one thing into the other. I don't ever want to go to sleep. I want to stay up and just keep drinking, keep drinking. And only recently, like before we went over to Spain to see our mate who's moved over there, he was back in Dublin. We all met up in Goatstown, had a few drinks in the pub there, the Goat, and I had a good night. I had a good few drinks. I'd been drinking since April this year. I started back, not too heavy, but it definitely wasn't keeping myself on as tight a leash as I had been. And I was like, fuck it, I don't want to go to sleep. So I stayed up listening to music all night and thought, what alcohol do we have in here? And I was like, oh, we've got a absolute raspberry vodka in the freezer, because it doesn't freeze, it just keeps it cool. I thought, oh, we've got some Coke because I don't like Coca Cola in this state. Um, so I'll mix it because I don't like drinking it straight. And I'm not being funny. I stayed up all night, fell asleep in the chair, and when I looked at the bottle, I had literally drank 75% of it, mixing it in with Coke. And this is after drinking already, that night. Could have had about 10 pints already, maybe a bit more. And it just shows you don't want the fun to stop, and that's how I am. So I got to be very careful about that. And you compare the nights that I mentioned, one where I'm in an environment where I'm more likely to drink, where I'm more anxious, I get through that night and I don't drink. But then the next day I'm like, oh, a pint of Guinness would be lovely here. Maybe it's just your willpower running out, I don't know, but something to be mindful of. Like, I have an addictive personality. Anyway, I've never got hooked on heavy drugs, but in terms of like caffeine, I love my coffee. Energy drinks, it was bad for them when I worked out a lot more, just to get a pick me up. Um, Cigarettes, just to have too many of them. Any amount is too much, but at least if you're only going out and doing it when you're drinking, that's alright. Doing it too often is not good for you. And then obviously alcohol is my main one. And I've been seeing an addiction counsellor for this for quite some time now. I just walked in one day and we were doing the shopping and I just said, I'm mentally ill, I need fucking help. Got set up with a psychiatrist. That didn't seem to lead anywhere really. This was back in 2022, after the incident where I shoved my mate to the ground and thought the other fellow was attacking our dog. I just got really shameful and guilty. My family were like, "Oh, you've done it now. You've fucking done it. You've had another incident." And showed you how many I've had. Where I'm just in such a bad place where I'm saying I want to kill myself, where I feel terrible, where I want it all to end. I just said I can't live with the shame anymore. And you do kind of put your eggs in one basket and think, when I admit I have a problem, the help will be given and I'll be fine. You think, oh yeah, but you've got to put the work in. You do. You're like, the temptation never goes away, and it took me a while to get sorted with the addiction counsellor, and I was actually thinking of leaving and not seeing the psychiatrist that I got set up with down here in Wexford, but they check in with me to make sure I'm taking my medication, which I have been. Again, I haven't drank in a month now, and I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but at least for the time being, I need to stay off it. Because I definitely have gone too hard in the past, and it can leave a lot of damage. When the drinking you do in your teenage years, and if I drink the way I was drinking before, I'd be fucked. I'd be dead. Stomach pains that it gives me, just the bad digestion that I get, the raging headaches, the suicidal thoughts get so bad for me. They just catch up with me and they get worse and worse and they just build and build. It's fucking horrible. Seeing the addiction counsellor, I said it to her. She gives me tips and just says, look, you're not alone, you're not a head case, and it's not easy. It's a difficult thing, and you need to keep an eye on it if it's something you can't handle. And there's obviously a family history of alcohol addiction, so I need to be mindful of it. I think this is my longest video to date. I know they're long, guys, but there's a lot to discuss, and I have a list of stuff that I want to say, and I want to get it out there and share it with you guys. So I think it's important to do that and just let you guys hear my side of my story. And just, alcohol is something that has caused me a lot of upset, but it's also understandable why I got so easily addicted to it, because I couldn't socialise, and then I could with alcohol. I literally went from, Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. That's what it's like for me. I'm not the first person to use that analogy, but it's so true for me. I change personality a lot. I'm telling stupid jokes, being quite sleazy. That's not who I am. It's also nearly got me, well, it's got me arrested. Tried to kill myself with alcohol in my system. Both those incidents. Multiple others where I nearly got into big trouble. And then something very cringy. I proposed to one of my best mate's sisters. So that's something. I get very cringy when I'm drunk, trust me. But something I just really wanted to make, and hope somebody gets something from this. It's a big topic for sure. And thanks for listening, guys. See you.